Students ask us very often, how do I know if I'm making reasonable and consistent progress? How do I know that I am making the grade and on pace to effectively achieve my outcome of finding a career in software engineering? And interestingly, we were shocked and surprised in the early days of boot camps where there wasn't a lot of assessment happening and there wasn't a lot of appraisal of skill sets happening throughout the process. And as I mentioned, we really subscribe to the philosophies of Agile. And one of the Agile tenets is to get feedback and to have perspective from other engineers on the project, right? And we felt it was very critical for students to receive regular and consistent feedback on how they are assimilating the learning outcomes. And this also goes back to something that we learned from Anders Ericsson, who talks about mastery and expertise. And feedback is just so critical to the learning process. Making sure as an adult learner that you are trending in the right direction is hugely important to make sure that you're continuing to make the progress that you need to make. And what we decided to do was every week, at the end of the week, we issue what's called a project-based assessment or a challenge-based assessment. And that challenge-based assessment involves a rubric that tells you basically what a piece of software needs to be able to do. And by the way, we match what you'd see in the industry. These are written in user stories and have acceptance criteria, things that you would see as a modern software engineer. And so what we want to do there is stimulate a high level set of requirements and having to build something of consequence as a result. And that challenge-based assessment at the end of the week is going to require you to assimilate all the learning outcomes that we taught you the week prior. And of course, everything that you've learned to date. So you'll spend, it depends on the part-time and the on-campus program, the assessment lengths are a little bit different. But for the immersive, we look at a 3-hour long assessment. You have about 3 hours to complete that. And you'll submit that electronically through our learning management system, really easy. And you'll receive coding feedback the very same day. You'll know whether you met expectations, exceeded expectations, or did not meet expectations. And in many cases, instructors are able to pull you aside if you had a do not meet expectations and talk with you about the implications and what needs to be adjusted in your approach to the learning. And that can be a great opportunity for one-on-one feedback between both the instructor and the student. Maybe there's something that the instructor could be elaborating a little bit more on for the student, or maybe they just need to revisit a concept that's still fuzzy in their mind. The program moves so quickly that feedback is just so critical to making sure we can keep students on track.